work placement, which will be presented by Mr. Tim Jervis and Mr. Mike Work from GEMS Wellington International.
Please. Thank you. Greenfield Community School, remember that name, okay? Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and it is an absolute privilege and an honour to be here to work with such esteemed colleagues and such a fantastic forum. So have you enjoyed it so far? Been really positive?
Yeah. Yes.
Really? Okay. There's an old TV show back in the UK called Opportunity Knocks, and they used to have this thing called a clapometer, okay? So just give me a round of applause. The louder you make the applause, okay, the more you've got out of so far this morning, that you've more enjoyed it, okay? Good indication, I like it. Okay, well, when I first saw the actual schedule, I really worried because I thought I was going to get the graveyard shift like the 3:15, but we've got the best session, the one before lunch. Okay, so we're going to whet your appetite and then lead you into lunch. How good's that? Does it get any better than this? Okay, first of all, how we run successful work placements. I'm going to talk a little bit about our school and about the course that we actually run. So, Greenfield Community School is one of 4 IB schools that have all 4 IB programs, from PYP, Primary Years Program, MYP, Middle Years, the Diploma Program, and now the new IBCC, the IB Career-Related Certificate. So we've been doing this for a number of years now, 4 years in fact, and there are 66 schools across the world offering this new IB Career-Related Certificate, aimed at 16 to 19-year-old students. So, a little bit of that program, 2-year program, career-related, differs from the diploma program, if some of you know that. Okay, it's aimed at students aged 16 to 19, offered by the International Baccalaureate, aimed at students who are focused on a career-related and a specific career path. Very, very important. We need to start offering choice to our students when they get to the age of 16. There are tried and tested routes, IB Diploma, and also A-levels, and many other curriculums across the world. But we need to start considering every type of student and give them pathways. So the one thing we do know, the world is certainly changing and we need to prepare our students for it. So when the IB set up the new career-related certificate, they did it with a view, an aim, to create practical, realistic and life skill training and education, to give students flexibility in something called transferable skills, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about that later on. Within this program, 2-year program, students study a whole range of different subjects, okay? IB subjects, and also a career option. At the moment, we offer a BTEC, which is a British qualification, and we offer business studies as that career-related. So students can do that with the IB diploma and the IB education. So that the whole program integrates together, okay? And a big part of that is what we call the IBCC core. It's really at the heart of what we do. And the work placement is the big part of that. Because we talk about life skills, we talk about transferable skills, and we talk about preparing our students for life. What happens after school, what happens after university, once they get started in the world of work. So the academic learning on its own is not sufficient. It must be supported by actual applied knowledge. Very key thing. Learn it at school, fantastic. Get it from a book, learn from other people, fantastic. But when you get into the real world, you have to apply it. You have to know how to apply it. Students benefit from actually working in the real world. That's what the work placement's all about. Give them exposure to that real world. Give students valuable experience they couldn't get at school. There are lots of different kind of schemes that schools do, you know, creating products, designing things, you know, selling them within a school. Great initiatives, great things. But when you get out into real world, and you need that experience, and you need to work with professional people in that professional environment. It helps to establish, confirm chosen pathways. Many students in grade 10 or year 11 in the British curriculum, they look at careers, and they think, oh yes, I want to do this, I want to do that. And then they do a work placement, and it either confirms, wow, this is exactly what I want to do, but for many of my students, they realize maybe that's not the pathway. They thought about it, but then they've had a work experience place, and then it comes to something, yeah, maybe I'll go off and do something different. This is the big one for me, helps to develop confidence. I've seen a huge, huge development in my students' confidence over the 2 years. And that all comes from giving them this valuable work experience. The learning dimension, as I call it, students begin with a self-analysis. So way before the work placement actually starts, we get them to do a self-analysis. Who they are, where they are in their life at the moment, what are their career goals, what are their aspirations, where do they see themselves in 5 years? You know, that lovely question that you get asked in many, many interviews. They do a self-analysis of what their skills are and what their attributes. And they may find it difficult, often they do, to identify the skills that they currently have. Because quite often they say, well, I'm only 16, 17, what skills do I have? Then we do an analysis and they realize, wow, I do actually have a lot of skills. And I can take those skills into a work placement even now today. What about their attributes? Are they good at time management? Are they motivated? Do they have a good work ethic? Are they good at timekeeping? We also then do diagnostic testing, carried out to determine possible career-based. Now, we can do all sorts of psychological and kind of different types of testing, Myers-Briggs and all that kind of personality type testing, but they cost. There are hundreds and hundreds of free websites on the internet that our students can access. And I'm going to give you a handout at the end with all of these links, okay? So you get all that. This actually throws up many, many surprises for our students, because they realize, wow, I never even thought about hairdressing, never even thought about running my own business, never even thought about teaching, never thought about, you know, being a chef. But when they answer those questions in these quite detailed web-based question and answer sessions, it throws up some real surprises. Students research possible careers based on the results. They then start to plan their work placement. So this all takes place about a month to 6 weeks before their work placement. And the first one they do it is in February, and they do a second one in June. Okay, we're going to give you a little activity now, because I know some of you are starting to nod off, okay? We're going to give one handout per row. So you can work with people in your row, or if you want to work on your own, that's fine. You go down that side. This is what I do with my students, okay? Here's a little activity I do with my students. Okay, you can pass. You work together or pass one. There you go. Okay. Sorry?
What year group do you refer to?
Grade 11 and 12. Yeah. So year 12 and 13.
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Now, what I'd like you to do is to discuss for a couple of minutes, okay, what skills do you think each of these jobs need? Skills. So in order to be a teacher, what skills do I need to be a teacher? Now obviously I don't want to make a fortune, that's why I became a teacher, okay? So it's not the driving force, it's just the love of the students, okay? We're here for the kids, okay? But what skills do you think, okay? Can you, in your little groups now, just discuss that for about 2 minutes, okay? And look at the architect, research scientist, and a chef. Okay, 2 minutes now, informal discussions. What skills do you think? This is better, isn't it? This is better than sitting on the floor and... Well, I'm flying through 10 minutes, 8 minutes. Okay, got one more left, 1 more minute. There are 2 sheets to this because there are 8 careers.
Is that 2 minutes before career?
Yeah.
30 seconds of career?
Yeah.
Is that hard?
No, I'll give you 2 minutes per sheet. I'm flexible. What skills do you think each of these?
How many skills at least?
Doesn't matter. 1, 2, 3. Yep.
Flexible as well, because they got to, if they come again.
I think the more particular thing is
Take it back.
2 minutes or more?
Yeah.
It's each.
No, 2 minutes for each sheet. Yeah, come on, get a move on. Oh, crack on. Time's money.
2 minutes for each one.
Yeah, time's money. No, we've only got 45 minutes, so. And Tim's got to do his big bit yet. He's the encore act.
Yeah, your warm-up.
Yeah, I'm the warm-up.
Chef?
So what skills do you think a teacher needs? An architect, a research scientist, a chef? On the second sheet we have fashion designer, travel agent, nurse, and owning your own pizza restaurant. What skills do you think you need? Even if you just write down one skill for each job, each profession. Okay, right, let's just hold it there. Okay, let's start with this front group because they always get picked on because they're front seat. What skills do you think a teacher would need? Communication, yeah. Something I'm still working on. Planning. Problem solving, definitely with some of my students. Sorry?
Facilitator.
Yeah, facilitator, good facilitator. Yeah, good. Crowd control, was that the back? No? Okay. A big stick? No, sorry. Time management, yes. Because we, bells and all that kind of stuff.
Leadership skills.
Leadership skills, definitely. Excellent. I do this activity with my students to get them to think about, what skills are needed for each job. Okay, what about an architect? Let's deal over here. Okay, two ladies sitting there, architect. Technical skills, yes.
Spatial reasoning.
Spatial reasoning.
Safety issues.
Safety, yes, definitely you need to be aware of those. Creativity, yes. Imagination, okay. Teamwork, yes. Because the architect usually is the kind of creative genius, the kind of facilitator of that. But underneath, and even to the side, they have a team of people that make it happen, okay? All right, research scientist.
Classification skills.
Classification skills, so being organised, yeah? Analytical, excellent. Collaboration, working. And sometimes these professions, they can be in a team, but sometimes you can be on your own in a lab, and you're solving little problems, particularly at the research level, okay? So you've got to be able to work individually on your own and also with a team and to share that knowledge, okay? What about a chef? Tasty. You've got to have a good sense of taste, haven't you? That's a skill.
Open-minded.
Definitely, open-minded. To create new dishes.
Be clean.
Yes, definitely.
The ingredients which go in the making food.
Making food, yes. Time management. 3 minutes to boil an egg. Thank you very much. All right. How long does it take to cook dinner? How long is the dinner? It's going to be 4 inches. It's a sausage. Okay. Right. But chefs, okay. I actually wanted to be a chef when I was young, but until I realised they work at night, I thought I'd give that up. Okay. All right. What about a fashion designer? Creativity, gotta be, hasn't it? You've got to be able to push that boundary and come up with a new line and tell everybody what they're going to wear next season. Okay, so you've got to be a master manipulator as well. Other skills for a fashion designer?
Drawing.
Yeah, good drawing skills.
To know something about colors matching.
Yeah. What about the way they learn? Because if they're learning in a practical way, they've got to be able to communicate visually as well as orally, haven't they? Very, very important skills for a fashion designer to be able to, put their ideas onto paper and then to communicate. What about a travel agent? Communication, yes. Interpersonal skills, definitely dealing with the public. Even though their business is changing because most people are now booking holidays on the internet, there's still a need and a role for them. So interpersonal skills.
Knows the world.
Yeah, knows the world. That's right. You've got to be able to travel. You've got to be able to travel. You've got to know these places. You've got to be able to recommend them. Okay? Yeah, definitely. Okay? What about a nurse? Caring. Got to be able to caring.
This is attitude, not attitude.
Yes, it is an attitude. It's an attribute. Okay? So what about a skill? You've got to be able to clean up.
Medical skills.
Medical skills, okay? They'll learn on the job, aren't they? Okay, you learn those skills. Okay. Any other skills for a nurse?
Good-hearted.
Good-hearted, that's an attribute. Safety, got to be aware of that. Okay. Time management.
Efficient.
Yeah, efficient. I think procedural as well, because if you're handing out drugs and you're dealing with something, you've got to be able to handle things in a procedure. If you're a young person who just thinks all over the place, then maybe nursing doesn't align with your skills. So you've got to be organised, you've got to be time management, and you've got to be, right on the ball. Here's an interesting one. What skills do you need to own your own pizza restaurant?
Marketing. Free offers.
Free offers? Is that a skill? I think some of them, they're really mean. Give me free pizza, are you kidding me? Marketing, definitely. You've got to be able to market. You've got to sell ice to the Eskimos, haven't you? Management skills, yes. Working with employees? Collaboration, okay. Do you need to have a good business sense?
Risk-taking.
Risk-taking, yeah, I think that definitely risk-taking. Okay, excellent. All right, activity 2 now. So you can put your sheets to the side. Okay. Now you'll see a little bit of similarity in that activity 2 because they are the same professions, but this time, what qualifications do you think you need to do these jobs? We often promote our students to take a qualification, to get a piece of paper, to get into a job, then they learn those skills. Okay? So sometimes a piece of paper can open many doors. But is it all about the piece of paper? Not always. You ask Richard Branson if he actually got a piece of paper. Failed school, he's now one of the richest men. $42 billion he's currently worth, owns 400 companies. The Virgin Group. Richard Branson, left school dyslexic with no qualifications, so no piece of paper. So it can be done. So just think about, same groups, same informal discussion, okay? I'll give you 2 minutes per sheet, okay? Think about what qualifications now. What do you need to get through the door? You ready? I'm going to have a big introduction for you, okay? Yeah, no, I'm going to get the bell. I was going to have a drum roll. What?
Take
No.
that over to Tim and give me that.
Oh, okay, all right then. If you want it done like that, that's okay, I can do that. So this is different to skills, this is about qualifications. So what gets you through the door at an interview? Okay? What qualifications do you think you need?
You want the names of the qualifications
Yep.
here, right?
Either a degree,
A degree, postgraduate.
yes, postgraduate,
Something like that.
yep.
You mean about qualifications, like something like degree and
Yes.
experience?
Yeah, you can't be a teacher without a degree.
Yeah.
All of them needs degree.
Yeah.
Do they?
All of them need experience and
Something unique.
yeah. Yeah. Okay. Architect-
Not everyone needs a degree. Not every job needs a degree. We think the degrees are standard, don't we? That's some of the pressure we put on our
For
students.
example, like a chef, he
Yeah.
doesn't need degree.
No,
Sometimes do, Mike, don't they?
they do. This is going to set up a bit of a debate.
I think it depends on your country.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'll come back to that, when I talk about the counselling and you get students and
Yeah.
the only message they've ever been told is you've got to go university or your life's worth
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, 30 more seconds on this.
Then fashion designer.
Okay, time's up on that activity. I love doing this one with my students because it really sets up debates because of their preconceived kind of ideas about pieces of paper that they need to get into, you know, an interview or even a job. Okay, and quite often my students are surprised with what they need to get into that particular career. So, teaching, let's open it up to the floor. What do you need? You need a degree, absolutely. Definitely, okay? Yep. Well, you need it. Let's think about the qualification, okay? The level of qualification, so yes, a degree. Architect? A degree? Yep. Gives you credibility. Also, my students were surprised when I said you need industrial recognition. So you need to be a fellow of the Royal College of Architects. Because if you're in this business and everybody's got degrees in architecture, if you have that recognition from your peers, from your community, well, not particularly from the industry, the ministry, but if you, in terms of architects, they have the Law Society for solicitors, they have the doctors to have that higher level group. It takes you up a level, but that comes with experience, okay? But to get in the door, yes, you need a degree. Okay, research scientist. Yes, a degree and then postgraduate, okay? Definitely postgraduate. Gives you, again, that credibility, doesn't it? Okay. What about a chef? Yeah. A certificate or a diploma from a tertiary college?
Maybe.
Sorry?
Sixth sense.
A sixth sense?
Maybe lots of recipe.
Experience, yes, definitely. Okay, but we're talking about a piece of paper that gets you in. Okay? I couldn't be a chef now because I don't have that industrial qualification. But if I went to a tertiary college and did a work experience, I could possibly get it. If I started as a junior chef, you know, working in a kitchen or a restaurant somewhere, then I could get experience. Then I could go to college on a day release program or do something in the evenings or weekends. But you do not need a degree, do you?
FDA certificate.
Yep. So a lot of these things come after you've started a job, okay? But, I mean, people like Jamie Oliver, very successful, left school, dyslexic, no qualifications, but then went to a college in London, did a BTEC in hospitality, and then became a chef, and now he's worth over £100 million in an empire. All right, fashion designer, what do you need? Master's, PhD?
No, at least
No.
undergraduation in the
Yep.
in designing.
BA.
Most people would go through a BA program, okay? But a lot of fashion designers start at the bottom. Stella McCartney is one. Did work experience in a company, no formal qualifications, no degree, no PhD, no nothing. Now one of the most famous designers across the world, probably because of her father, but still, she has a design in her own right, okay? Travel agent, do you need a degree?
Course certificate. Maybe course.
A course certificate, you could go to a tertiary college and get that. So the next step. Nurse?
It's a degree now.
It is a degree. That's right. You used to either apply and do on-the-job training, become a state-enrolled nurse, or a state-registered nurse, which is the next one up. So you could actually do some on-the-job training. Many hospitals are linked with local universities, so you can do some training there, or nursing colleges. But these days, nursing, you need a degree. Amazing, isn't it? Own your own pizza business. Of course you need a PhD for that. You do, of course you do. You need money. Yeah, but you need a qualification.
Yeah, some course in entrepreneurship, definitely.
No.
If I had 100,000 dirhams now, I could set up a pizza business right now. One thing I would change is why do round pizzas come in square boxes? I would change that. It's all because of the cost of packaging. It's cheaper to actually make a square box. That's why round pizzas come in a square box.
Why don't they make them square?
Exactly. Pizza Hut do. They make a square pizza. So very, very interesting about qualifications. And this throws up many, many surprises to my students about what they need, because we do put a lot of emphasis on the qualification. Students come to us with, and we talk about these preconceived ideas. My parents tell me I need this to get that. And we then challenge that. So that's why I started with skills. What skills do you need to get into that career to make you successful, okay? Now, these are some of my case studies, and the benefits of work experience, okay? And if you haven't done it in your school yet, please, please, I implore you, start a work experience program. We do one a week in February, a week in June in grade 11, and then the grade 12, they do another one in February, okay? Because then they leave in May. So they do 3 1 weeks. Alina, she came to us 3 years ago. She didn't do very well in her GCSE subjects. She came to us, and then she actually blew us away with her skills, her work ethic. And in a work placement, she always knew she wanted to go into interior design. And so what she did, she then passed all her BTEC business with distinction. She's now at Emirates Aviation College studying a HND in business, which then leads on to a degree in business administration. The company was so impressed with her in the work placement that they offered her 2 days part-time work experience while she's doing the HND. So she gets paid for 2 days a week, and she goes to Emirates Aviation College for 3 days a week to study her HND, High National Diploma in Business. So a great story there. Rusty, he always wanted to get into the media and selling and marketing. So he had a contact with the Virgin Group, okay, went there on their work placement, went to head office. They were so impressed with him, they sent him to the Mercato Centre, and in there they have a Virgin Megastore. And because he speaks numerous languages, absolutely cleaned up. Any person, that's clients or customers were coming into the store, he could transfer, particularly Russian, and so he could speak different languages. That then made the company think, well, we just normally have, this type of salesperson. If we can pay a little bit more and get bilingual, we're going to sell more products. He's now currently studying a BA in business studies, and he's also been offered an internship at the end of his degree. He's at the Canadian University of Dubai studying that BA. So that's a great story. What I mentioned earlier about students confirming their career paths. This is Aaron in grade 11, followed through his father's footsteps in engineering, working a little bit with an engineering company because he wanted to be a project manager. He has a great skill which I identified through our kind of diagnostic testing for planning and pursuing things through to an end. Now, at the end of that week's work placement, he thought, yeah, okay, I like engineering, but it's not quite me. He then, in his grade 12, signed up with a company in JLT for event management, organising concerts, comedians tours, events, corporate days, all this kind of stuff. He's made up. He is so happy. This is exactly what he wants to do. He's now doing really well in his business course, and he's now been offered places at Greenwich University in the UK to study event management. So that's the success of 1 week's work placement for our students. Yannick, she's always followed a passion for dancing. And she asked me last year, she said, how do I get into a career in dancing? So we've investigated this, and she's been working on a work placement with Fusion Arts. They were so impressed with her, they've offered her weekend work to literally spend Friday or Saturday working with young children and young people to organise dance classes. This is her following her passion, so she doesn't feel as though she's going to work. And next year she's going to Holland to a dance academy where she's going to go through and finish a high-level qualification in dance and that kind of training. Now, many of my students think they need to go to a work placement, okay, to actually get contact with the company in the business world. But quite often, at this such a young age, companies are not willing to take a risk. So they might take, make the coffee or, do some photocopying. Small, low-level tasks. Once the students have performed and proven themselves, then the companies feel a little bit more confident. What Ross did, he joined up with a canine charity. It's a dog pound, and it's a kind of a dog centre in the DIP. When you work for a charity, they're more likely to take risks. The skills he learned in that environment for that week, he would never have got in a big structured company who wouldn't be taking a risk on him. So his communication skills have improved, his time management, his organisation, all that kind of thing. So learning new skills is not just about working for a company. You can actually work and get great experience from a charity. Okay? What we do a lot as well is link our work placement with community and service. And this is a perfect example. I took the students to Dubai Marathon. We were asked to set up a drink station. I just basically was the advisor. I was the consultant. The students planned it all, they organised it, they worked collaboratively, they worked in a team, they organised the logistics. They got themselves to the venue at 5:30 in the morning. They set up a drink station, and they did all of that. And then when the athletes came through, they were all ready. Everybody had a key role. That, to me, is the benefit of a work placement. Then you link it with their community and service. So that's a real strength in a work placement. This is one of the key things I say to my students: people skills. We talked already about these types of skills that students need, okay, and they need for future life, transferable skills, okay. And at this point, I'll pass over to my esteemed colleague, Mr. Tim Jervis.
Thank you, Michael. Mic me up, Mike.
There you go. Oh, I'm going to give you a wallet then.
Actually,
Nothing
there.
anyway, I'm a teacher.
Rubbish.
Good. Okay, let's do that one there.
Right, hello there, how do you do? I'm the business studies teacher at Greenfield Community School on the diploma programme, and also the college university counsellor. So we thought it was relevant with work placements in those areas, and I'm just going to talk about that a little bit today. If a student goes on a work placement, there's some general positives for that, I think, in terms of engaging the student in the subject, creating interest and stimulating them, and hopefully they come back to the classroom and in their lessons the brains light up a bit more, they look forward to going to the business class. Hopefully that will help them in their studies, yeah? And also we want students to learn content, don't we, for examinations. So hopefully by doing work placements it backs up any theory they've learnt, and it will help them cement that knowledge and improve their performance that way, okay? And in placements, I think all placements, there are some areas in any work placement you can relate curriculum to. For instance, business communication, yeah? Which a student can observe on the work placement and then come back and reflect on that. Or organisational structure, who's the bosses, what's the level, how do they relate? The chain of command, the span of control, that sort of, those sort of theoretical points that most business classes deal with, okay? You can see that in reality and hopefully enthuse your students. Yes?
Just been hit on the tie.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, and depending on where the placement is, there's more topics can relate to say if you go to a manufacturing unit, you might look more at the students looking at the quality control aspects of that company, or say in a shop you can find, say, the marketing mix and what market research they do, or the student can do themselves. So that's sort of in the curriculum. There's specific areas depending on where students go. Yeah. Is there many business studies teachers here today? I think there was quite a lot come to the conference.
No.
No? Oh, okay. Okay, you can do a placement, a work placement before you're going to teach them content. So introducing that, if you like. For instance, in business communication, you might say to a student, okay, go on this placement, observe when business communication is happening, maybe list that out. Perhaps if there's what are the advantages, disadvantages of the way they do that, and then you can come back and link into the curriculum where there are certain situations where each business communication type would be suitable. For instance, legal, on a legal side, if it's written down, then a letter might be appropriate. So you could introduce a topic through a work placement, or you teach the theory, the content, and then the work placement backs that up. You might teach organisational structure, and then when you might give a series of questions or a table fill-in or some true or false questions or something like that for students to take on the placement and back up their knowledge, yeah? Okay, moving on to then in terms of university job applications and what the work placement can bring. On application forms or on like the UCAS application to UK universities, they ask for work experience. Okay, so I find quite a lot of students where we are actually don't really do a lot of work experience, and it's a lot more difficult than, say, the UK, where people often do part-time jobs as a waitress or waiter or something like that, and they can bring that into their application, show a work ethic, etc. Okay, so maybe the work placement can help with that. Most students have to write a personal statement to UK and US applications. So you need some content for that, and you can write about your work placement, the skills you learnt, and relate that to the course you'll want to study, and that can be get some useful information for that. Differentiating yourself from the other applicants in the university, so when it gets on the professor's desk, if you can show, a student's got some initiative, and making them stand out from other students, it can help in that process. And the work placement, I think, like Mike said, in terms of what subjects a student might want to study in the long term, it might stimulate some new thoughts, or you might say, well, okay, I wanted to do this particular thing, but looking at what actually happens every day in somebody working in that area, maybe I'll review that and find a more suitable path. Also, if often get students, they say we want to study business, and they can go in a work placement and maybe narrow that down a little bit. Perhaps they could just study marketing, that would be more interest, or accounts and finance. So in terms of selecting the subject and how you get there, a work placement can have a role in that. Okay, and for interviews, if they're involved with a university application or a job, then it can give something for the student to talk about and bring out. All right. Okay, and how somebody progresses when they leave the school. Quite often, I think there are students, and it's been assumed for a long time that going to university is the right thing to do, and they have a vision. I've been to school and now I've done grade 11, 12, and I'm going to university. Everyone goes to university, and it's the path to success and paradise. But going on a work placement might stimulate a few ideas, and they might think, well, okay, actually, maybe there are other ways I can get to my long-term goal. Perhaps do a more practical diploma in a college, or indeed, with entrepreneurs, there are people that start businesses and do very well without actually going to the university. Obviously, if you want to be a doctor or a teacher, you must do that. Okay, and that ties in a little bit also when I'm teaching business and we're looking at entrepreneurs and starting a business, and I want to encourage my students to do their studies and do their business, and then we get to the point where I say, okay, here are some very successful entrepreneurs like Bill Gates and Robert Maxwell and these people, and actually they didn't go to university. But please keep working very hard, won't you? It's sort of like a little bit of an awkward moment, but in a sense, it's just, I suppose, for those maybe that aren't perhaps academically inclined so much, it might just give an opening or an idea. There might be other ways for them to get to a certain point, and there are some great business people that maybe do diplomas and not go to universities, things like that. Okay. Thanks, Mike. Back to you. Yeah, well, yeah, we got it.
This is one of the big areas for the development of our course, because yes, students will leave school with a piece of paper, a diploma, a certificate, whatever they call it. But what we pride ourselves in is actually getting the students to put together a portfolio, because when they actually go into an interview, whether it's be a university or particularly in a job, if they take a portfolio with them and they've got something to talk about, this is me, this is my school, this is the courses I did, this is my work placement, this is my experience, this is my family, these are my hobbies, these are my interests, this is my passion. Everything they do says a lot about them, and so they put it into their portfolio, and it's a record of their achievement. Now, yes, going into an interview is one thing, but you need to give yourself an ace, and our students will take away a document which has a kind of a picture of all of what they're doing, and that's a really big thing to do. But many students worry about, oh, I need to get a career, I need to get a job, okay? And when I put this slide up to them, they realise, well, actually, yeah, because statistics say by the time they're 38, they'll have 10 to 14 different jobs. I'm teaching currently in my 9th school. But if I take teaching as one job, this is my 5th different job over 32 years. So we do change careers, and for a number of reasons, okay? Could be location, could be situation, could be financial. But if you've got transferable skills, then you can move between different companies. People in the UK and Europe, when they were in the manufacturing industry and that started to decline, they moved into more technical type stuff, transferable skills. Very, very useful for our students. I love this quote. If you find something you love to do, you never work a day in your life. That is so, so true. And when I talk to my students about working, and about following their passion, following something that they're interested in, and I think over the last particularly few years, the whole employment market, the career path is changing. You know, students, yes, on the whole, still want to go to university, but, you know, let's not kind of devalue some of the other vocational kind of positions. I mean, ladies, you go to hairdressers. Can you walk out paying less than 200 dirhams, you know, for having a hair done? You know, if you try and get a plumber to come out for less than 500 dirhams for an hour, and then they're always late, okay? And I took my car to the garage recently. It was like driving into a science lab. These professions, these careers, these jobs are open to students, and there's a real need for our students to go into a different career pathway. So if they are interested in something, then they can follow their passion rather than, you know, something that they think, oh, I've just got to do a job. Now for me, that's what I work for. Okay? I don't do it for the money. Okay. That's basically us in a nutshell, okay? Work placement has started from a little idea to developing into something really powerful, developing skills in our students to make them more aware of the real life, to give them experience, to then give them something to then take on to, you know, a future. And it really crystallizes for many students their idea about where they want to go to. So if you haven't done it yet or you're not doing it, please do it. It is just such a big and a great thing. So let's open the floor to questions.
How do you actually find placements for the students?
The students do.
Students don't find them themselves?
Yeah. Yeah.
Through their families? Or?
Yeah, mostly. In Dubai, it's a different market because when I've run this in Australia before and also in the UK, you know, students tend to work in McDonald's, you know, from the age of 12 upwards, and they do a paper round and they do things like that. So you've got that kind of context. But here, when we first set it up a few years ago, was really challenging because obviously the labour market. So we have to go through the parents. Parents have contacts. Most of our parents from the school, they actually have connections with other companies, or they own their own business. Many of the students don't want to work with their parents, okay? So they say, Dad or Mum, if you have a contact, can you put me somewhere? So it's all about the student finding that placement. Yes, I've got some, you know, contacts and backups like Virgin, and we can direct students and put them in touch. But once, you know, once that phone number's there, they then handle it themselves. It's their directive.
How do you find the timetable hours for it?
Well, basically, within the IBCC program, the career-related course, we actually have 2 periods a week of an hour, and it's called Approaches to Learning. So I take a big chunk of that, and I start the process from thinking about the careers and the diagnostic testing and the putting together the CV and the letter of application. The students then find that, you know, in lesson time, they make contact, they send emails to the companies, and then we, at the end, because we're semesterized, so at the end of a semester, students will actually do exams, and then the week after, there's almost like an activity week, you know, week without walls and things like that. So that's when we block that a whole week. But we can't, we'd like it longer, but we can't because it just impacts on the rest of the teaching curriculum. So.
Do you go out personally and
yeah,
drop in?
Yes, yeah. I basically manage the whole thing because I have 23 students. So during the course of the week, I always give them 2 days to settle in, and then the rest of the time, I go and visit every single person, and then I phone up the employer as well.
And do you instruct the employers, or do they design a day for the kids?
Yeah, they design a day with the students. Yeah, the students then, you know, work out a role. So the students, once they've made contact, they then go to visit the company. They then agree a role. Okay, some of the students actually just do work shadowing. So instead of actually saying, right, here's a job, go in and do it, they actually work shadow an employee, and they work through. And at the end of the work placement, the students have to go and complete an academic piece of work, which is a case study. So linked with their business studies course, so they actually produce a document, quite a detailed theoretical document of academic work, which looks at the structure of the company, key roles, key personnel, history of the company, the marketplace, the demographic, the product placement, the marketing mix, all of those business terms and they link it, and then they produce that case study, and that's to finish off. And then they send that back to the company to get it evaluated. The company then also send me an evaluation of that student's performance, and then that goes in a whole record of stuff. So
How can this process build the motive for a student to work?
well, I personally think it really motivates them, because I see a huge change from February into March and then into April.
In this region, the student doesn't need to work. Everything is provided to him. So how can you build the motive to work? There is work in life.
Well, I would say the majority of my students, they really do need to work. Yes, there are some who are privileged and they might not need to, but you're developing a work ethic. You know, because that then reflects back into their academic studies. Because whether they're working for a company or working on their own assignments, they need to meet those deadlines, they need to prepare for exams, and they need to get through that qualification. Otherwise, you know, the parents are not going to be very happy, are they? They've invested all that money.
Mike, has there been long-term studies of the IBCC? I know it's in 60-plus schools.
Yeah.
The diploma is well and truly programmed.
Yep.
But the IBCC itself, and also you'll have, in the last 2 years of school, you'll have diploma students,
Yes.
DP students,
Yes.
diploma courses
Yes.
students, IBCC students. What's the selection process at the end of the MYP for those students to go into those 3 different streams?
We look at their NYP grading, and we say the students need a 4 to go into the grade 11 program, and we counsel each student to say, okay, what is your career path, what is your aspiration, where do you want to go to? And some students already make that choice, DP, okay, diploma program, but some are actually a bit confused, and some do go on to the diploma program, and after 6 weeks they say, it's not for me. Then we can transfer over, okay, and then pick up those career-related courses. So, yeah, I was in London last year for a conference in June, which reviewed all of the pilot schools that are running across the world of the IBCC program, and the feedback was that it's an evolving program, because you've got schools in Germany who link, you know, with the local employers. You've got schools in Africa. They have a completely different model of the IBCC. The career-related, we offer the BTEC, but in America they offer CTE, Certificate of Technical Education. That then gives students, you know, progression into a college. For many of my students starting this IBCC program, the first question was, where will it take me? Where will it lead me to? And our first graduating class, we got all students into universities here in Dubai. That was a big selling point, because the students can see, if I do that course, it'll get me to a HND or a degree, then it'll get me into a job, or it'll get me here, there. So as Tim alluded to earlier, you know, students tend to think degree is the only thing. But it's not, you know, and students can start a job and then build up that skill profile afterwards. So
we have 20 university offers this year from IBCC students already.
So, but you're right. I mean, it's an evolving. It's something that's so new. I mean, it's only been 4 or 5 years. Well, 4 years in the running. It's still so new. Many people have never heard of the career-related certificate. Many universities have never heard of it, particularly in North America and Canada. You know, we found it difficult to get our students there, but we have a lot of Canadian students, and now they're running with that. They're picking up, they're understanding what the needs of it. And once it kind of really gets established in many IB schools, then, you know, it's going to go off.
So can you give me some idea on the diagnostic testing you are doing in your school?
Yes, I've got a, let me just show you. Where's that? Okay, you'll all get this handout, okay? And I've got some useful links. So if I just do this link, okay? I've put a whole list of links there. It takes you straight into, I can send you this document as well. All these links take you to web pages. You then start the test, okay? This is a particularly good one, careertest.net, and it asks the students, are you more interested in what is real, what is meaningful? You know, these are some very different questions. Your desk or workbench at your place, is it usually neat and orderly or untidy and messy? So students go through, you know, up to about 50 different questions on this particular website. But I've got about 20 websites there that you can go and link to. So diagnostic testing, they get feedback, and then they go and look at possible careers. Okay, so it's a really good little tool, and they're all free on the net, and you can get a printout as well. So when I go back to there, you can see these are all these links. Okay, so you all get a copy of that as well when you leave. All right, any other questions? Because lunch is nearly there. Well, I'd just like to thank my esteemed colleague, Mr. Jervis, and thank you for your attention. And I have English, and I also have a handout in Arabic, which should you like to. And we've also got business cards. If you'd like the slideshow or anything like this, you know, okay, please just email me. I'm happy to host you at my school, or I'm happy to come and visit your school to talk to you a little bit more. It's all about sharing what works. So thank you.